2016. So the 4th of February 2016 was first mandate.
Sorry, I just thought Mr. Cromley said 1st of December 2013 was the first mandate.
That was the for aircraft, all IFR aircraft above flight level 290.
Apologies.
So that's a different mob, is it?
That's a different group, yeah.
So why are you throwing spanners at me like that?
Yeah, but as I say, the whole process was a series of mandates rolled up into the same
Okay, but the ones that would cover.
package.
Okay, but the ones that would cover what Virgin are doing out of Perth there, with Perth Albany, Perth Esperance, and Ravensthorpe, and then some charter flights to Geraldine, Carnarvon, and Paraburdoo. They're obviously for a certain type of aircraft at a certain height or whatever. So when were they all put on notice? The ones that are doing this work now, when do you reckon they were put on notice?
I'll have to take that one on notice for you, Senator.
Okie dokie.
Well, it's something we'd have to ask VARA. We would have put the legislation out, but it's Virgin who interpret that and make a determination.
No, but you're the boss. You're. Hey, I wish I could
I'm
get
not the
away.
boss
I
of
wish I could
Virgin,
get away with that
Senator.
with the coppers when they were hassling the shit out of me as a truck driver. I wish I could use that excuse. Well, you didn't ask me. Well, come and ask me first. I'll tell you what speed I was doing. You can't. You're the regulator. That's all I'm asking. When
We
you
put the
told
legislation out, Senator. We try and educate people and get them to follow the legislation and the regulations.
Right. So all I want to know is when they knew that they had to come to 4th of February.
I can only assume that it was when the legislation was put in power and the
It's
dates
dangerous
identified.
to assume here, Mr. Skidmore, because people remember what you assume in further estimates down the track. So would you like to come back to me? Would you like to take it on notice and come back?
We can come back and tell you when the regulation was put into power, Senator.
Right. And do I assume, which is always deadly, that VARA would have known from that very day that by the 4th of February 2016, they had to have the ADSB?
I can't say what Virgin Vara was doing at the time to say whether they knew exactly that. All I can say is the legislation was put in place and they should know.
Didn't you notify operator?
Don't you just say, hey, you lot, if you haven't got this, we're going to come and whack you on the head? Don't you do that?
We provide the information and we educate people regarding the legislation.
Okay, so when you educate them, do you put out an email saying, da-da, it's here, and if you haven't got it by then, we're going to get you?
I wasn't there in the time frame. I'm not sure exactly what the process was that was followed.
That's what I'm at. There's a few familiar faces around the table who were. So this is what I'm trying. We have this every time we CASA. I'll tell you, it's like moving. You know the pea. Where you just move those pots around.
We should just get rid of the pots.
So does anyone know? How do you know it comes, Mr. Alec? You've been around a long time. You've been around since Jesus was
I will tell you, Senator, that it is the normal course when a regulation is made that it has an effective date in it. And when that regulation is published, then anyone who knows of the regulation, it's incumbent upon an operator to be aware of it, that's the effective date. But I'll add to that our processes have always been that when we're introducing new legislation, generally well before the legislation is made, let alone when it comes into effect, there's a campaign to make sure that those who are going to be affected by it are made aware of it. Now, we can put it out there, we can hold events and we can put it on the website, but whether it gets into somebody's brain or not ultimately is their responsibility. I should be very surprised if a major operator would be unaware of the fact that a particular regulation that will affect their operations comes into an effect on a certain date. What I can't tell you offhand is what that date was.
Okay, but someone will be able to find out.
I'm sure so, Senator, yes.
Thank you. Because I don't know why they're still running, why the next one coming in didn't do it. I don't know. So, all right, that'll do. Thank you. I didn't know, did it?
Senator Xenophon.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just go further to Senator Still's line of questioning about the ADSB? I spoke to Dick Smith, the solvent one, earlier today.
You mean that quiet young bloke that has a farm out here and flies occasionally?
Yeah, that's the one, Chair, not to be confused with the company. He's concerned about the implementation of the ADSB, that within 12 months, as I understand it, by February 2017, there's a requirement for ADSB to be fitted to every small plane that flies in cloud. Is that your understanding?
February 2015, 2017 is the mandate for all IFR aircraft to be fitted with ADSB, and yes, Senator.
That includes small planes?
All IFR aircraft, Senator.
Right, and that Dick Smith advised me earlier today that it's in the region of $49,000 for a small aircraft?
I don't know the numbers, Senator. I've seen the quote that Mr Smith has provided to me several times for his citation jet, and that's in the order of 55,000. I don't know the numbers for other small
I'm
aircraft.
just relating a conversation I had with his permission to relate it. He says that, quote, this will be the death knell of general aviation, and he goes on to say that there is no safety case because this relates to avoiding collisions in cloud. Is that right? That's what it's about.
It's an enhancement to a surveillance system, Senator.
Right.
You can use a number of different methods to do surveillance. Radar is one of them, but we don't have radar all over Australia.
Yeah.
ADSB is another way of providing it by having stations around Australia, and I understand you'd have to get the exact numbers from Air Services, but I think there's in the order of 73 stations now, ADSB stations around Australia providing coverage anywhere from 20,000 upwards or thereabouts, but it will drop down to 10,000 in most areas and down to the ground in a lot of areas. So we're starting to get a surveillance system around this great country of ours that will actually be providing us with the information to be able to do air traffic management.
Because I've got a whole range of other questions, could you please take on notice what the safety case is? Because Mr. Smith advises me that he doesn't think there's ever been a case of two aircraft colliding in cloud in this country.
And let's stop it, Senator. Let's make sure that we've got a system in place that stops that from happening.
But it hasn't happened because the point made by Mr. Smith to me is that there are already rules in this country in terms of you've got to give a flight plan if you're flying in the likelihood of cloud. You've got to give full position reporting, something that doesn't happen in other countries. There are a whole range of safeguards in place.
There's currently procedural methods in place, and again, this is more a discussion with Air Services, I suspect, to actually talk about how these things work. Yeah. But that operates in regards to an area without surveillance coverage. We're trying to provide surveillance coverage for Australia.
Can you tell us what
a supplementary question? I mean, if I've got a Cherokee 140 or a Cessna 150, I'm not likely to want to do IFR in cloud with that equipment on board, am I?
If you're flying in instrument flight conditions, Senator, I think you would like to have a surveillance system on board, but as of February 2017, you'll have to have it on board.
What proportion of people that have got a 150 Cessna do IFR now?
I don't have that figure.
I don't think there'd be too many. I mean, Dick might, but I don't think I would.
I don't think he flies a Cessna one.
No, he doesn't, but he has a very nice caravan.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps if I could ask you on notice about the safety case, because my understanding is that because we have a system in place to deal with procedures in place with flight plans in cloud, full position reporting and the like, which is different from other countries, such as the US and other vast continents or vast countries, that Dick Smith and others have questioned the safety case for that, and also the impact on general aviation.